This is the Orvis Battenkill Disc, and it's Orvis's cheapest, fully machined reel with a drag. So that seems like a mouthful, but what that really means is that while Orvis starts out with the Clearwater series that is essentially a plastic reel, this reel here is made of metal, and unlike the standard Battenkill, it's got a drag. And because it's got a drag, that means you can use it for bigger fish and even some light saltwater applications, as long as you're really careful about maintenance. Some other interesting features about the Battenkill disc are that it is the only mid-arbor reel in the Orvis lineup. So as you'll see, this arbor is quite a bit smaller than what you're used to from large arbor reels. It's also a fully sealed drag, though, like we've seen with some of the older Hydros series, it's not necessarily the most sealed drag, so that's why we still recommend a lot of thorough rinsing and washing if you use it in salt water. But now let's dive into this Battenkill disc and see how it performs, starting like we always do, with the drag. And this drag goes from 0 to hero in about 2.3 turns, but no hard stop on the top end like you'd expect from most of the reels at this price point. And while we're testing the Battenkill size 2 today, if you do crank this reel down, you're actually going to get a fair amount of drag. I would estimate it in sort of that 4 to 5 pound range. Of course, we haven't actually put this on our universal testing machine to find out, but that's my best guess. That's going to be enough for certainly any freshwater fishing, and frankly, for a lot of saltwater applications as well. And as I mentioned, it is technically a fully sealed drag, but if you open it up here, you'll see that there is definitely space for water to get in. So if you do use it in the salt, and really I'd only recommend it for very light saltwater use, make sure you rinse it thoroughly and probably take it apart, dry it out, lubricate it after your trip is done. That way you won't have any rusting issues in the long run. And now let's move on to the spool. And as I mentioned, it is a mid-arbor, and that means you're going to get a 2.7 inch max diameter, which is pretty small among fly reels that we've tested, even trout reels. A nice narrow 0.9 inch width, again, narrow enough so your line isn't going to be piling up. And of course, a 1.5 inch arbor diameter. And that's where this mid-arbor concept comes from. A true large arbor reel in roughly a 5-weight size is gonna come in at 2.5 inches. And those reels are gonna have a lot more line pickup than this one does. And speaking of retrieval rate, this reel comes in at 5.7 inches per turn, which is really kind of low. By comparison, a true large arbor reel today should be around 8 inches per turn. Or to put that another way, this reel is going to take roughly 210 turns to reel in about 100 feet of fly line, whereas a large arbor reel will take maybe 140 or 150. That's going to be a lot of extra turns, and frankly, that's probably the biggest downside to this Battenkill disc. Up next is going to be the weight, and this Battenkill disc size 2, which is the 3 to 5 weight size, comes in at roughly 4.6 ounces. It's definitely a little bit on the heavy side, but overall not that heavy, even by light reels today. Sure, if you're trying to build the absolute lightest setup, you're not going to get this, but this is designed for those people who are looking for a price point reel, and as a price point reel, it's not so bad. And now we're going to move on to the sound, and well, take a listen. And outgoing. I think the sound is pretty nice. It's got the same for the incoming and the outgoing, which is not my preferred sound, but again, at this price point, not so bad. And last but not least are the ergonomics, and again, this reel does a pretty decent job. Sure, this isn't the easiest to adjust drag knob, nor the easiest to grab handle, but it is totally adequate. And while the handle on this 5-weight size is a little bit small, if you're going up to a bigger size, Orvis has actually made that handle bigger, but just remember the drag knob stays the same size. So that adjustment is going to be the same regardless of the reel size. And last but not least is price, and this size 2 reel comes in at $179, which is an absolute steal. I've always maintained that Orvis makes the best value reels on the market, and this is no exception. You're getting tons of features like a sealed drag under 200 bucks, and really, if you look out there, nobody else touches it. Tell us what you think about this Battenkill disc, or any reel in the Orvis lineup by leaving us a comment in the box below. And don't forget to subscribe because we've got some great reel reviews coming right up. I'm Ben. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.